Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Katie Huff Ministries with Setting Yourself Free, the podcast that we want you to be, do, and have all that God created you to be. And we are here to share with you the most amazing woman physician, Dr. Michele Sherwood, where you can follow her and her husband at sherwood.tv. And you definitely need to put that in your memoir and in your day timer and go there because there's such incredible information about your health and wellness and even detoxing. And today we get to have the queen, as her husband so lovingly says she is, and I agree. I get to have the queen help us women, especially, sorry guys, you can still listen because you're going to want to know this for your wife's sake, if nothing else. We're going to talk about hormones because God knows if they're not working the way they should be, then we're not very good. And that makes our husband not so happy either because it doesn't work for both of us. So you need to follow us at katy-huff.com, katie-huff.com. Go to Katie Huff Ministries on YouTube and hit that button for subscribing. And then we're going to be on Rumble. We're going to be on Spotify, Apple, Facebook, you name it. So here is where you're going to get the most incredible information so you can make a great decision for your health. So Dr. Michele Sherwood, what a blessing and opportunity for us to learn from you and only hopefully get healthier and better all along the way. So thank you
Katie,
for being here.
thank you so much for having me. I have a real huge passion for women in any stage of their life because at any stage it can be extremely challenging, especially when those hormones go upside down. So it's not always an easy thing to understand. It's not always um, exact. Every person is an individual, and it takes an expert to help guide a person along the seasons of their years.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, there's a lot of confusion out there, and one shoe doesn't fit at all. I know that as a nurse and as even a woman that tried the pellets. That didn't work for me. Obviously, the sleep issues are affected by it. I mean, there's so many things that, contribute to having the right modality for the person. And as you being an expert, I'm sure you have your basket of so many options because not all fits the same person.
That's very true, and I've been at this for over 24 years now, and we have studied with a lot of the different academic societies, if you will, from the Age Management Medical Group to Synagenics to BioT. We understand pellets. We've been in World Link, which are all the leading modalities for hormone replacement. And each one, of course, is going to have a favorite. But what we do is we take all of those modalities and we sift them through the sifter. And we take the person that's sitting in front of us,
Mhm.
asking us for help and care. And we find the best care that's going to be the best for that individual. Because, like you said, pellets weren't the best for you. People
Mm-mm.
metabolize things differently. Their bodies handle things differently. Those enzyme systems that are in the background, everybody is unique, and we have to be sensitive to those issues.
Absolutely. I can tell you, I don't normally have to go to the doctor or need to go to the doctor, but after I had had the pellets, where it came out for me is I had terrible knee joint pain because I think the testosterone in it was too high. And of course, I'm sure you can explain this, but once you have them inserted, there's no way you can get them out until they are absolutely absorbed. Isn't that the case?
That is the case. The delivery methods are different for each different type of hormone therapy. And pellets are a little subcutaneous, implantable. It looks kind of like a tic tac, if you will, just to give you a visual aid. It goes underneath the skin with a piece of equipment, medical equipment called a trocar, which just deposits them a couple inches past the trocar so that they don't extrude out of the skin. And now, the theory behind them is that the body builds a blood supply around the pellet, which takes a few days. And once that blood supply is there, it is thought that the blood picks up the hormones on an as needed basis with activity. It slows down with rest, and it kind of simulates the ovarian hormone production as best we can with a menopausal state.
Right. Okay. So what happens to the women that have had a hysterectomy and and have their ovaries, which aren't producing obviously as much, depending on the age of that person, and I kept mine thinking that they were producing, and I'm not so sure that they are. So how would you go about that?
Well, so we, of course, test, don't guess. The labs tell us, where we're at, kind of give us an idea of which hormones are hanging around. In women, there are a lot of very special hormones. There is estradiol, that is
Mm,
the body's most potent form of estrogen. There is estriol, which is kind of an inert estrogen, but it does help protect the uterine lining. It has some good, valuable effects in the system. There's estrone, which, if it is not metabolized correctly, oftentimes that is the one that does carcinogenic damage or can damage DNA and end up in a bad outcome. So we want to know what's going on with that. Like I said, there's progesterone, there's 3 types of estrogen or estrogens, and then there's that hormone testosterone, as well as DHEA, dihydroepiandrosterone, which is an adrenal hormone. And then, of course, as we age, we forget about other hormones like thyroid hormones. So
right,
there's a whole handbook of hormones that begin to become off or changed or challenged as the years go by. For every passing year, the system can come up against a little bit of struggle depending upon stress, depending upon sleep, depending upon nutrition and health, exercise, and the body's ability to get blood oxygen and hormones to the tissues. But as you said, if somebody has a hysterectomy, they really don't know when those ovaries fail
right.
unless we check the serum concentrations to see where we're at.
Okay. And so obviously that's a test, a lab test to be able
Yes.
to get that. And what are you looking for at that with those tests? What obviously the levels, but is obviously is it the same level per person, or is it? I know there's a low and a high, but how do you judge that?
So very interestingly, let's just take a rhythmic cycle, for example.
Okay.
When we are healthy, fertile, and everything is going fine, we go through what's called the follicular phase. And in the follicular phase, that's right after we have a menstrual cycle. That's when the ovary is, that's when the brain is telling the ovary to make estrogen.
Okay.
Estrogen proliferates the uterine lining gets thick. In the luteal phase, progesterone starts to come up and stabilize that uterine lining. It's stabilizing it for implantation of an egg, if that were to happen. Well, if that doesn't happen, when that luteal phase reaches its finish, the hormones then are going to both drop low, and then we're going to have a menstrual cycle, and the cycle starts all over again. Well, 2 of the main blood values that we look at are going to be that FSH, also known as follicle stimulating hormone, and LH, luteinizing hormone. When those things are rising in the serum or they're becoming mismatched, dysregulated with each other, oftentimes now we're having hormonal disturbances. We're having high estrogen levels and no progesterone. We're having heavy menstrual periods and all of these other symptoms like bloating or spotting or cramping or hot sweats or night sweats, and the inability to sleep. So when that FSH and LH starts to go on the rise and starts to get over 10 into the teens and then in the 20s, we can legitimately say those ovaries are failing us. Because if we don't have a menstrual cycle every month, we don't have anything that we're measuring against. We're kind of going, oh, well, my ovaries must still be working. I had a hysterectomy. However, I have all these symptoms.
Right. Right. And so that's probably some of the women that come in, they come in with all of those symptoms to talk to you about it, right?
They do. And we have a unique symptom questionnaire that people can mark their symptoms. That it's not a problem, it's a minor problem, it's a moderate problem, or it's a severe problem that affects everyday life all the time. And with the more severity that a person has, that person really there is suffering in the quality of not just their everyday life, but likely their relationships.
Absolutely. Because as everything goes up and down, so do the moods go up and down, and the sleep goes up and down, and it's kind of like this tailspin, if you will, of symptoms that if you don't have the right modality or the right results, then obviously this can go on for a long time.
Yes, well, it's one of the when, once you pass the 50-yard dash line, menopause is going to happen. The ovaries are going to say, "Hey, I'm done. I'm not going to show up for you anymore. I just don't have any gas." If you don't have a measure and you don't know, it's like, "Oh, well, I must be getting old. This is just normal. This is the aging process." Well, thank God for scientists. Thank God for the people that he's put in the labs to help us understand bioidentical hormone replacement, because we don't have to live a quality of life that is suboptimal. We can do something about it. And
Mm.
once we find, of course, the right delivery system for the person, we can affect every single one of those symptoms and help them move in a direction of optimization.
Awesome. Awesome. So I apologize because honestly should have said, you know, tell the audience, Dr. Michelle, who you are, what your background is, how long you've been in practice, so people can come to love you like I do.
Well, yeah, I always kind of like gloss over who I am, but I have such a passion for people. About 13 years ago, I opened the Functional Medical Institute with
Mhm.
my husband, Mark. We have a full story on that. I won't belabor the point, but I am a board certified internal medicine, sports medicine physician with a board certification in functional medicine. So if I could be a professional student, I would do that, but that's not going to pay the bills or keep the overhead down.
Right, right. Unfortunately.
And it's not going to help me put my skills into practice to actually help people walk down a pathway of healing. So, at the Functional Medical Institute in Tulsa, Oklahoma, is where people come to see us for in depth care, things that they may not be getting in mainstream medicine. And they're just told, hey, it's all in your head. You need an antidepressant.
Mm,
If you can't sleep, here's your sleep medication. Well, then
mm,
the sleep medication causes you to be somnolent the next day, and then they give you a stimulant to wake up the next day. And now the stimulant has your metabolism off, and now you're gaining weight, and they give you this weight loss
mm.
pill. And now that then they you return back to the doctor for another medication that's high blood pressure medication, and before you know it, you're just on all kinds of pills.
Right.
When at the root of it is just hormone imbalance. So our big passion is to get to the root of the problem at the Functional Medical Institute and walk people step by step back to the center point where they can live a life of longevity, of vitality, feel vital, and be engaged. And we as women, I really feel like we are at risk because when
Mm,
hormones change, it's not long before those things happen. There's no sleep, then there's no energy. When there's no energy, men are intimate to relax. Women have to be relaxed to be intimate. So when that disruption happens, it can create this huge despondency in relationship. And it's like all of a
mm,
sudden your partner is missing. Well, if you go to the root, oftentimes the root is in hormones and it doesn't get addressed in the primary care sector. So
mm.
our passion for helping people get well stems from watching people be miserable and dismissed in mainstream medicine.
Yeah, and that is like a truth bomb. And I would like you to hit maybe a little bit more in regards to what you said, because it was so profound, but at the same time, it was very brushed over in the sense of women find intimacy by being active, but men find intimacy by relaxing, or do I have it backwards?
So men seek intimacy to relax.
There you go.
Women have to be relaxed to seek intimacy. So the personality, physiological types are completely different. And, if a woman is still fixing dinner, cleaning the household, stressed, and hasn't slept the night before, she's definitely not in a state to be relaxed to engage.
Right.
Where the opposite is true for males. I mean, they're ready to relax, they're ready to unwind, they're ready to slow down. And it's as menopause approaches and hormones go to sleep, that state becomes amplified in the female physiology.
Yeah, it does. And then when you think about even men with their testosterone as they get older, it goes down. So this can be, a recipe for a pretty significant loss of intimacy in your marriages or your relationships.
Absolutely. I don't know why they call it menopause. They should have called it womanopause and
Exactly.
and menopause. Men go through menopause just like women go through menopause. There is a decline in the hormones, but oftentimes it is a couple generation or decades later or a decade later. So there can be a mismatch in the timing of when one person is going through a change versus the other person. And the relationship can just become despondent. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to have a relationship that's despondent if I can do something about it.
Hmm.
We have to be mindful enough, however, to be able to recognize that that's there.
Right. And so when you do, what is the options for the men? Because obviously we're talking about, bioidenticals, and there's a lot more options, it seems like, for women than there is for men, but what do they do? What
So,
couldn't they do?
Well, so as we were talking about women, women are more complex because they have more hormones to balance. They've got
Right.
estrogen, they've got three types of estrogen, they've got progesterone, they've got testosterone, they've got thyroid hormones, they've got adrenal hormones. Well, males are pretty simple. It's testosterone, thyroid, adrenals. It's not quite as complex on managing the estrogen, progesterone issues in males. Now, I will say at the root of all dysfunction is nutrition. If the
Mm,
system is not clean on the inside, the body is going to have a harder time hearing the message or understanding and getting the result of good bioidentical hormone replacement. So if we go to the root, we've got to clean house and clean it out so that when we do put those bioidentical hormones on board, the body can hear the voice and the message and get busy doing the work and get the best result from the hormone delivery system that we put on board. Most of the time in males, there are multiple selections, just like there are for females, but most of the time it is testosterone, testosterone, testosterone. Whether it is a topical gel,
mm,
it goes under the arm or on the forearms or on the scrotum it, as a cream. It can be an oral dissolvable troche.
mm.
These two methods are daily.
Okay.
So sometimes males do not like to do things daily on a regular basis when it comes to their hormones. So they may choose to do injectables, which
Mm,
can be once to twice a week, which still requires some diligence to the regularity of the regimen or the regime, or pellets, which are every 3 to 6 months, depending upon the metabolism of the person, the health of the person, the activity level of the person, and the nutrition of the person.
wow. Well, that's pretty exciting in the sense that I didn't realize all that, even as a nurse. I didn't realize all that with the men, which is really interesting that they have all those different options, because most people just talk about the small blue pill.
Well, the small blue pill is not to be dismissed. It is very
Right.
beneficial. And oftentimes that, if you clean up the diet, the small blue pill does a lot of work and it does help a lot because basically it just aids in vasodilation. So it improves blood supply and it improves the outcome of erection. However, if hormones are not there, the long term outcome eventually is going to fade into the background until the testosterone levels are optimized. And what do I mean by optimization? If you take any lab panel, and you being a nurse are going to understand this, you go and you look at your lab panel, there's going to be a number anywhere from 250, I'm talking males now,
Yeah.
testosterone, to 850. Sometimes the lab is a little bit shy, maybe 750 in the males. Now, I don't know about you, but if I was male or in females, there's not really a designated number for testosterone. There's a range. I would want to be at the high end of that range as long as there's no side effects, ill will, poor outcome with that level. I'd want to be at the high end of the range so that I can have the optimal outcome for what that hormone provides. And just like in men, testosterone in women provides brain protection.
Oh, yeah.
Women who have optimal levels of testosterone have a lower incidence or risk of Alzheimer's disease or dementia.
Mm,
So I want to have my levels
great.
optimized.
Yeah.
Testosterone, not only in men, but in women, increases mood or drive.
Mm,
So depression, is it really an antidepressant deficiency, or do we need to turn to our hormones and go, hey, are my
mm,
hormones optimized?
mm,
Not only that, lean muscle mass.
mm,
When we start aging, I know every single person over 50 knows what I'm talking about. All of a sudden, strength is different, your ability to show up and perform is different. Well, we're designed to degenerate and go home and see our Heavenly Father. It's just that's the engineering of the system, and the system does age.
right.
However, with great science and the great ability to put these things on board, we can do it at a rate that we can have longevity and vitality in our years when we
Mm.
use good hormone therapy as a replacement into the optimal range to get optimal outcome.
Wow, that's awesome. That's exciting. And that's one of the things that I was wanting to talk to you about as well is that, your husband let out the secret. Maybe it's not a secret what it, but the muscle mass that his wife has and the workouts that you do. And I understand you had a title at one time.
I have had several titles. I mean, I was
Yeah.
the
When it comes to
Taekwondo
your muscle mass,
muscle.
shall I say.
Well, yeah,
I know
back
you have
in
lots of titles, doctor, wife, friend, mother, all that.
yes, I've let's see, won junior nationals middleweights in 2004. I was actually came in fourth. In
Nice.
2006, I won the USA's in the heavyweight division. So that was the kind of where I realized I either had to practice medicine or I needed to be a professional athlete. So I chose medicine and helping people instead of, you know, going in the direction of being focused on becoming a pro physique competitor. But I love the sport. I have all admiration for people. I know the work that goes into it. It's a dawn to dusk job. The minute you get up in the morning, you're planning, you're prepping, you're tanning, you're posing, you're exercising, you're eating, you're resting, and you're doing it all over again.
That is intense and that is amazing. And congratulations. That is so awesome. I was excited when he told me that. I was just like, oh my gosh, because we were obviously talking about us working out and me here in Montana, you all in Oklahoma, and obviously building muscle like you were talking about that also plays into all of the, the health results of the hormones.
Well, exactly. And in our clinic, one of the measures that we do is something called a body composition analysis. And I feel like it's very important for us not to be obsessed about weight, but to be obsessed with about what is our composition.
Mm,
If you weigh 145 pounds and the majority of that weight is lean muscle mass, what's the worry? I
right.
mean, why are we sideways over a scale weight? However, if the majority of that weight is yellow fat, we know that yellow fat is very toxic, it's very
Mm,
inflammatory, it's where all the inflammagens, all the excess negative metabolic storage products that our body tries to hide and keep it from floating in the serum to keep us safe. That's where it is. It's in the fat cells. So if we go after optimizing body composition, longevity is going to be healthier longer.
that's awesome. So, what is your daily routine when it comes to, and are you working out every day, or what is your exercise regimen since you now are working to make other people healthy versus the bodybuilding as a career?
So I may be a little bit unique in my approach. I am a person that believes that if I'm going to tell you something and I'm going to guide you in your ways, in the ways that you should go, I need to be doing it myself. So I'm not going to tell you to exercise without me doing it in my own daily life.
Yeah, be
I
a
call
walking,
it
talking example.
well, I can't, for me, it's like when I would walk outside the residence lounge when I was a student, I
Mhm.
would see doctors that was severely overweight. They'd
Mm,
have a Coke in one hand, a cigarette in the other.
mm,
And it just really was very hard for me to understand what we were doing in medicine to really help people want to model what they're seeing in the medical profession. So I adopted a completely different approach. I grew up, of course, as an athlete. I think I've been exercising since I was knee high to a grasshopper. If you can imagine the height of that, it's
yeah.
pretty. I've been at it so long. my first love was to go be a martial artist. I thought I was on my way to the Olympics. And the training for that type of
Mhm.
a sport is not just once a day, it's going to be twice a day, oftentimes 7 days a week.
Wow.
So you take that and then you go into a professional. I mean, I was looking at becoming a pro in the physique world. That's still a 7 day a week job. Oftentimes, when you're in the competitive state, that's twice a day. Now, I'm post 50. I've passed the 50-yard dash line and I'm almost to hit the 60-yard dash line.
Well,
So
we
things,
get to welcome you into the next decade.
yeah. Well, and we're going to do it with grace, with
Yes.
ease, but we're going to do it smart. As I've passed the 50-yard dash line, my phrase now is preserve capital. I
Mm,
have to think about when I go to the gym, what is going to be the long-term outcome 3 days later after I do, the exercise routine that I do. So I work for cardiovascular fitness, which is getting that heart rate up. And of course, I'm going to work for strength.
mm,
I still train almost 7 days a week.
wow.
Now with the beginner, I'm not going to tell a beginner, hey, you gotta go 7 days a week. We start with small goals of, okay, if you're not doing anything, we've got to get 15 minutes a day of movement in there because we have to get blood, oxygen, and nutrients to the tissues. If we're
Yeah.
not moving that blood through the system, we're just toxic. It's like sitting I had a ex-boyfriend one time that said, why do you take a bath? That's really gross. You're steeping in your own dirt. So
And I love baths, Dr.
I
Michelle. I
I
love
do
baths.
I do too. But he did make the point that you might want to just rinse off after the bath. It's kind of like after you eat a cookie, so to speak. We know that's going to raise blood sugar. We might want to just go for a brisk walk because
Well,
it's
it's
going to.
funny. Did you say to him, I'm not swimming in an oil tank? I don't have that much dirt on me.
And I said, I'm not a dirty person.
That's right.
I said, I'm clean from the inside out, so I'm not
That's
steeping in any
right.
dirt.
Exactly.
Plus, have you seen my body composition? So,
Exactly. Well, that's good that he's no longer around, right?
yeah, that's been many years ago. That's pre-med school days.
Yeah, there you go. So I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that was kind of a moment where I was just like, I have to defend my girlfriend in the bathtub.
That's my fave. That's my unwind time, the calm time. You light the candles, turn on the essential oils, scent the air of the room, turn the lights down, and relax.
Makes me want to say, back in the day, I don't know if you remember the Calgon Take Me Away, but it reminds me of that commercial,
Well, and it goes it goes back to what we started our conversation with. Men have intimacy to relax. Women have to be relaxed to want to have intimacy. So, hey, a bath, cool shower, a scented shower, whatever it is to get you in a state of, turning the day off is very important.
So this is your hint, men. You need to get your woman relaxed so you can have an enjoyable, intimate evening. So that's the first clue. Let her relax. Very good.
Help her
Very
turn
good.
it off. Yep.
That's right.
Turn the noise down low.
Right. So back to your exercising program now, it's still consistent, obviously, because I've seen you a number of times around the Reawaken America tour, and you look like you're 25 still, and which is a great inspiration for us. And like you said, an example of what living a healthy lifestyle can create.
Well, I really appreciate that. And like I said, I feel like our bodies are our business card.
You're right.
Why would somebody want to take my advice if I look like a soup sandwich, as my husband would say it? And no offense, it's just the
Right.
body can do better if we give it what it needs. It has this phenomenal ability to engineer its own chemistry and do great things. So it is designed to heal if we do the right things. And back to your point about exercise, yes, it's almost 7 days a week.
Mhm.
I still may miss a day, but because I've done it for so long,
Mhm.
it is like medicine for me.
Yeah.
And when it's not there, there is something missing.
Yeah. If I always say, I pray first and I exercise second. And if I'm not getting my exercise to increase my endorphins, someone could
That's
get
it.
choked. So I
That
haven't
is
killed anyone yet, so we don't want to do that. So I would encourage people to, get off the couch, obviously get your body moving, and you'll appreciate the endorphins. I mean, I know, and I'm sure you do. If you don't do it, you feel even worse.
right. And one of the things I'll tell people is if you just get your shoes on, if you're new to exercise or you've gotten off the train and you've moved away from exercise, if you'll just get your shoes on and go for a walk, you'll find that you actually do more than you set out to do. And then when you come home, because of that blood bath that you've just given your brain and your tissues, you're going to feel better. And to your point, your endorphins do a body good. You might find yourself, cleaning the house, cleaning out the closets, setting up, your romantic dinner meal for your husband. I mean, all kinds of things come when we get blood oxygen and nutrients to our tissues.
Amen. That is amazing information and a great advice for us. And I'm trusting and believing that every man and woman that watches this is going to be inspired to do what they need to do so they can be all that they can be. And that's what my whole podcast is about, is setting yourself free from the things that are holding you back to be the best that you can. And where you need to go is to sherwood.tv to get unbelievable amounts of information regarding all the things that you would need to have the Kingdom Fuel and the Kingdom Crunch that is now new out, which is, if you want to share about your supplements and your food that you guys are creating, is amazing.
Yes. So during the last pandemic, when we thought the whole world was coming to an end and there was going to be a food crisis, I looked at my husband and said, people are walking out of the grocery store with beans and rice. Well,
Mm,
that is not sustainable nutrition for humans. And I said, I think we can do it better. If we can create a complete meal shake that is a complete meal that's got greens and reds, multivitamin and mineral and fiber in it, and put it in a sustainable container where it's inexpensive. A serving of Kingdom feels like $6, and it's whole body nourishment, where the average cost of a standard American lunch is anywhere from $13 to $20. It just depends upon where you shop or where you get it or how resourceful you are. So that was our solution to keeping the people healthy and well when there was a threat to our food sources and our food supply. Plus, it is all sourced on American soil. So that's another plus. So we
amen.
went we went from Kingdom Fuel to everybody's got to have their coffee, right? Are you a coffee? Do you like coffee?
I actually went off of it, and I only have it occasionally. I'm like the no caffeine sweetened the teas, like Bingle Spice is one of my favorites, but I'm not against coffee. I mean, I do have coffee.
Well, if you don't have to drink it or you don't like it, that's great. But if you are a caffeine connoisseur,
Right.
genetically, we know that there's a limit on caffeine or it starts leaching minerals and then it starts becoming acidic and starts causing other things. Plus, if we don't have coffee that is I call it mindful coffee,
Mm-hmm.
which if it's not mindful coffee, it can be full of mold, it can be full of
Mm, yeah.
pesticides, it can be very acidic, and it can turn the system inside out and disrupt the gut. Well, we created Kingdom Cup, which is a low acid, organic, Colombian roast, mold free, preservative free, pesticide free coffee. That's Kingdom
Nice.
Cup. Yes, it's the only coffee that I can drink without adding business to it, if you know what I'm talking about with the business.
I do.
Half
I
and
think
half and sweet.
everybody does.
Yeah, yeah, like the
Like,
business.
okay.
So it's
Yeah.
great. And then we went from there to Kingdom Candy. So we've got two different types of candy, salted caramel crunch and peanut butter, which is, I call it the sweet without the cheat.
Oh, wow.
So there's no change in blood sugar, doesn't spike blood sugar elevations. Type 2 diabetics can handle it. People with metabolic syndrome or
Nice.
trying to get that extra weight off can
Yeah.
eat Kingdom Candy and not suffer. And then we just launched our protein cereal called Kingdom Crunch.
Nice. I'm excited for that. Dr.
Yeah,
Mark was saying that he was going to send me some, and I can't wait to receive that because you don't find very good cereal in the grocery store.
we're here to help change the kingdom and help people be more mindful, get the nutrients into their system that they need. It might be a little bit more pricey, but there is no nutrition in the majority of cereals that sit on the shelf. We have
Mm,
changed it from no nutrition to super nutrition, getting the amino acids into your system that help repair cellular tissue. And, we all like to crunch. If we have, if we take the chips out, there it seems like something's missing. So
right.
that was why we went after that venture. It's let's give people the crunch and keep all the sugary sugar out so
Mm,
that that weight around the middle is not a problem.
awesome. That is so incredible. I'm excited to try it, and I'm hoping that anyone that's listening is going to go to sherwood.tv and get your Kingdom supplements because they're amazing and they're going to keep us alive a lot longer and keep us healthy. And so I am just so grateful, Dr. Michele Sherwood, for your time and your heart to serve, and the fact that your knowledge is so incredible, from obviously being a professional bodybuilder to now a physician. I mean, I'm thinking, you know what you're doing, sweetheart, and I'm glad to have you here, and I can't wait to have you again. And so again, Sherwood TV or Sherwood.tv, and please go to Katie Huff Ministries on YouTube and subscribe and follow us on Rumble and Instagram, X, Spotify, Apple. You want to have this information so you can have a better life. So thank you, Dr. Michele, for your time. God bless you.
God bless you, Katie. Thank you so much for having me. And I can't wait to do it again.
Me either. Thanks, honey. Have a great weekend. God bless you.
God bless you. Bye for now.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Katie Huff with Katie Huff Ministries, and I am coming to you today to encourage you to put 2024 as your best year ever. And how are you going to do that? By putting your health and healing as your number one priority. How do you do that? You go to officialsynapse.com. And you go to where it says free consult, free discovery call. It's free. This people at Synapse are amazing. They're going to get you on the road to health and healing in 2024. And so again, it's free. Go to officialsynapse.com and click on that free discovery call and make 2024 your best year ever. God bless you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Katie Huff with Katie Huff Ministries, and this is Bella Jean, and we're coming to you today to talk to you about setting yourself free by having first a great night's sleep. How's that going to happen? By using My Pillow. My Pillow has incredible products. Bella Jean even has her own dog bed and loves it. She sleeps well at night, so do we. Because we also have the topper, we have the pillows, we've used the sheets, we have the towels, and we even have the slippers. So we are a family that loves My Pillow as much as my Bella Jean, and I'm hoping that your dog will love it as much as ours, and that you'll go to mypillow.com/unmasked. Again, that's mypillow.com/unmasked, and you'll get incredible discounts for your family to be setting themselves free to having a great night's sleep and having an amazing holiday season with My Pillow products. Thank you. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Katie Huff with Katie Huff Ministries, and I'm coming to talk to you today about setting yourself free. And what that means is it begins with taking control of your finances. So I was unfortunately introduced to a number of different financial planners that really didn't put me before their profit. And I'm glad to say that Kirk Elliott, PhD, their philosophy is people over profits. They don't rush you. They have a holistic approach. They took my SEP, they invested it into gold and silver, which obviously is diversifying. It may be for you, it may not, but I will tell you this, KirkElliottPhD.com/unmasked, they will go beyond making you comfortable and knowing where your money's going. And so I would just say, take control of your finances. Go to KirkElliottPhD/unmasked for a discount and great advice and peace of mind that you'll have.